Hello, everyone, and thank you for being here today. I'm also excited to talk about accessibility testing, and especially today on the 14th Global Accessibility Awareness Day. So the main goal for me is to get everyone interested. So let's just focus on that topic. That my main goal is to get every one of you to start learning, thinking, and talking about digital access and inclusion. So as far as you can see from the screen, today's topic is the future of accessibility testing, beyond compliance to inclusive innovation. Oh, actually, I believe it's a bit difficult to read unless you don't know Georgian. Does anyone in the room can read Georgian language? Seems like no. Actually, a large part of global population cannot read at all. Or, for example, among adult people, even after finishing school, they have problems with reading. So even such scenario as the low vocabulary also should be considered when we're thinking and talking about web accessibility. Oh, yep. So yeah, here it is, the title of today's talk. So today we're going to talk about why accessibility matters, what is business impact. We also go through some existing innovations which are transforming accessibility testing. And then, of course, we address the challenges that organizations face and strategies how to overcome them. And then we're going to talk about inclusive design and how it's shaping the future of accessible experience. So yeah, and by the way, some of my slides will contain QR codes. They all are unique, so please use them so you can reach useful links for different standards, laws and tools and instructions, so everything that might be useful for you to get more information about accessibility. So yeah, let's start with the understanding of what is meant by accessibility. So in today's digital world, it's crucial that software is not just work for the most people, but actually that it is accessible to everyone, regardless of their abilities or disabilities. And actually, this is the main goal of accessibility. In overall, accessibility refers to practice of making information, environment, and technology meaningful and usable for as many people as possible. In tech and design communities, you can often meet the term A11Y, which is an abbreviation for the word accessibility, where 11 represents the 11 letters between A and Y. So now you know the term and can use it to save your time when you are writing something about accessibility. Disability is part of being human, unfortunately. And let's look at the statistics. So according to World Health Organization, approximately 16% of global population, or we can tell 1.3 billion people, are living with disabilities. So quite a big number. If we look especially into European Union, then in 2023, 27% of the population over 16 of the year over the age 16 had some form of disability, and it equals approximately to 101 million people. Or we can tell that 1 out of 4 Europeans has disability, quite a huge number. 33.8, it's the average percentage of population reporting some or severe activity limitations, which are proxy for disability among Nordic and Baltic countries. And the last number, but unfortunately not the least, 94% of European websites do not comply with mandatory accessibility regulations. So this is evident from the first ever European Digital Trust Index conducted by Craftzin, and they evaluated the accessibility of over 260,000 websites over approximately 18 European countries. So yeah, quite sad number. Also, it's important to understand that disability is not only about some permanent health condition, it also can be temporary, for example, a broken arm, and due to that fact, difficulty to use smartphone touchscreen, mouse, or keyboard. It also can be situational, like, for example, hearing difficulties in loud environment, or carrying baby in one hand and trying to do something on your smartphone with another one. And of course, let's remember that with the age, every one of us will encounter one or another form of disability, unfortunately. So accessibility is not only about taking care for some other people, but it's about taking care for ourselves in the future. So yeah, the benefits of accessibility are numerous, not only for people with disabilities, but also for businesses and society as a whole. So first, it empowers users with disabilities to access and use digital products and services. Secondly, it enhances user experience for every one of us. So features like voice command, text resizing, dark mode, simple navigation is just improve usability, leading to better customer experience, of course. For business as well, it brings several benefits, such as reaching a larger audience and enhancing brand reputation, but we're going to talk about this a bit more later. And sure, accessibility ensures legal compliance, avoiding legal risks, penalties, lawsuits, and reputational damage. Accessibility laws vary by country. The main document is International Standard for the Web Accessibility, WCAG, Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, and it serves as a foundation for accessibility laws in different countries, and all local requirements reference to this standard usually. Yeah, but for us, most important and emerging law is European Accessibility Act that takes effect in June 2025 and will apply to companies in any country that does business with citizens of European Union. This is, I believe, something that was to emphasize. Oh, sorry. Yeah, that one. So before that law, in European Union, we had the regulations that mainly required public government websites to be compliant with accessibility standards. But with European Accessibility Act, also private sector's websites as e-commerce, banking and finance services, utility services, and other are obliged to adhere accessibility standards. Exceptions are made, for example, for micro enterprises, which have less than 10 employees and have revenue less than 2 million euros, yeah. So yeah, that's it. Then let's talk about rationale for organizations to address accessibility. As it was mentioned, in the European Union alone, there are over 100 million people with disabilities, and with the aging population, unfortunately, the demand of accessible digital experience will only grow. Also, building with accessibility from the start saves money, which is obviously, and helps to avoid legal issues. Fixing accessibility later, of course, can cost up to 10 times more. So, for example, Spanish airline company I will try to pronounce the name properly, Wuling. So their website had significant accessibility problems. The audit found out that only 4 out of 38 required accessibility criteria were met. So the company was fined 90,000 euros, so actually in 2024. So this is something that could be potentially avoided in case of proper accessibility implemented. And it was also already mentioned that accessibility goes beyond people with disability, like think about curb cuts in sidewalks, originally designed for wheelchair access, but now are used by parents with strollers, travelers with suitcases, and cyclists. Digital accessibility is no different. When we design for inclusivity, everyone wins. And of course, demonstrating a commitment to inclusivity enhances brand image and creates loyalty among customers who value social responsibility. Also, quite often, accessible websites also have cleaner structure and code, and this helps in better search engine optimization and faster loading. And of course, integrating accessibility earlier in the development process can speed up development and reduce time to market. So another example is the national Danish e-ticketing system for public transport. So they launched new application with integrated accessibility considerations from the very beginning, and they reported faster deployment times and reduced the need for extensive customer support. And of course, accessibility drives innovation. So let's talk about this a bit more in my next slides. So let's take a moment to look how focusing on accessibility can actually lead to innovation solutions. For example, voice assistants like Siri and Alexa, they inspired by screen readers for blind users. Then captions were made for deaf people, but now approximately 80% of users actually use them while watching video in a loud environment or when learning new languages, for example. Even responsive design, which lets websites to work properly on all the screens, came from the need to support users with low vision and mobility differences. So again, when we build for accessibility, we often build better product for everyone. And of course, new technologies are transforming accessibility testing by making it faster, smarter, and more inclusive. So artificial intelligence is revolutionizing accessibility testing. Traditional automated tools could only identify approximately 30% of accessibility issues and had the tendency to come up with false positives. So latest AI-driven solutions use machine learning to understand context, to analyze dynamic content, and even to provide appropriate remedies. So many tools can be provided by example. For example, advanced AI use computer vision to find the problem, which usually traditional scanners might miss. Accessibility can fix issues automatically even without needing a developer. And Microsoft Accessibility Insights use AI to figure out which issue matter most, so team can understand on which problem need to focus first. And of course, the digital experience moves beyond browsers. And accessibility testing is adapting to deal with new platforms as well. So we have a variety of tools to check mobile application for things like screen reader support and touch controls, different voice assistant tools, which can help us to check if speed recognition works for different accents and in different environments. Yeah, we even have now tools for augmented reality, virtual reality, and smart devices, and they are getting their own accessibility standards too. So this cross-platform development ensures accessibility testing keeps up with technology growth. And next, one of the common and biggest problems that teams start to think about accessibility at the end of the development. And of course, this can be done in a better way. So for example, shift left approach, quite obviously, I believe, this means thinking about accessibility earlier during design, not after coding. So now design systems include accessibility rules from the start. So teams can review wireframes, mock-ups, even color and spacing, so before a single line of code is written. And teams also can add accessibility checks into user stories and design feedback. Then for developers, now there are plenty, a big variety of plugins in their code editors, so kind of like a spell check, but for accessibility. These tools highlight issues, suggest better code, and even fill in helpful text automatically, like, for example, area attributes. Yeah. And this way, of course, developers can catch and fix problems as they write no later. And definitely, accessibility checks should be now part of deployment pipeline. So if code breaks accessibility, it won't go live. Some systems track this issue over time, create reports, or even open tickets for developers automatically. So the key takeaway is to make accessibility part of the process from design to code to launch, and of course it's faster, it's smarter, and saves everyone a lot of time. Then, when it comes to accessibility testing, the best results happen when tech and people work together. Of course, automated tools are great for checking such things like color contrast, making sure that our text is there. But still, real users are essential because only they can tell us if things actually works for them. So what can be done here? Platforms like Fable help companies connect with the testers who live with disabilities, so you get honest, real-world feedback, not just a checkbox. Then more and more companies are building diverse testing panels, including people who use screen readers, voice control, etc. So they test real experiences in different ways and settings and help spot problems that usually automated tools miss. And some teams even create special testing setup to simulate different environments, like low vision or noisy environment or limited mobility, so they can understand what users are really facing. And of course, inclusive design matters beyond testing. So companies that think about all kinds of users from the start, they end up building better, more flexible products. And it's also not just about customers. A focus on accessibility also improves how employees work and feel. So it helps to attract new talents and also shows that company truly cares. So accessibility isn't just about avoiding mistakes, it's a smart investment. Yeah, let's move on. And despite these innovations, organizations still face significant challenges in accessibility testing. So limited resources and accessibility expertise remain common barrier. Legacy systems often present significant technical debt that makes remediation complex. The rapidly changing technology landscape means accessibility standards struggle to keep pace with innovations. And organizations also struggle to balance technical compliance with actual usability. And of course, without clear metrics, measuring progress towards accessibility goals remains difficult. So let's see on some strategies that might help to overcome these challenges. So first, I would say it's important to start to build accessibility knowledge through structured training programs and certifications. So many are creating accessibility champions who advocate for inclusive design within their teams. So we do have such practice in Accenture, for example. Internal communities of practice also help share knowledge and best practices across departments. And of course, strategic partnership with accessibility consultants provide specialized experience when it's needed. So also there are a huge amount of self-paced learning resources available. So these are key points that help you to create multiple pathways for teams to build their accessibility knowledge. Technical challenges require strategic approach. So for legacy system, many organizations apply an incremental approach, prioritizing high traffic areas and critical user journeys. Creating libraries of accessible components helps ensure consistency while reducing development effort. And many organizations establish accessibility depth similar to technical depth with a proper sprint for reduction. And of course, automation plays a crucial role in testing efficiency. And then, in general, common thread is breaking down overwhelming technical challenges into manageable initiatives with measurable outcomes. Yeah, measuring accessibility success requires looking beyond just simple standard conformance level. So many organizations are implementing user-centered metrics that tracks actual experience rather than just technical compliance. Then accessibility analytics help to understand how people with disability actually use digital products. And business impact measurements connect accessibility improvements to key performance indicators like conversion rates and support costs. So that way accessibility becomes a real business goal, not just checkbox again. And the last one, but not the least, it's important to communicate your commitment through comprehensive accessibility statement. And let's explore that a bit more. So an accessibility statement is a public declaration of an organization that they committed to digital accessibility. So usually you can find such a link to this page in the footer of a website. So first, many regulations require public sector organizations to publish an accessibility statement. So by doing this, organization, again, demonstrate compliance with, for example, WCAG standard and other local laws, and it helps to reduce legal risks. Then accessibility statement helps to build transparency and accountability. So usually it acknowledges existing accessibility problems, showing that organization is taking care of them and working to improve. Such page also may contain mentioned standards that were followed and, for example, tools that were used during the testing. And users really appreciate the honesty about what works, what doesn't, and when they can expect improvements. Of course, accessibility statement, it's also a valuable tool for user support. Usually, it should contain contact information for users to report accessibility issues, ensuring that they have a way to communicate with the organizations. It also shows that companies value user feedback, and it helps them continually to improve the accessibility of their sites. And of course, prioritizing accessibility just demonstrate corporate social responsibility and enhance brand image. So in summary, accessibility statement is not just about, again, filling a legal requirement. It's a powerful tool that helps build trust with your users, improves your brand image, and demonstrate your commitment to an inclusive design digital experience for everyone. Yep. So as we're looking to the future, one thing is clear. Accessibility testing is evolving from a compliance task to a key part of digital innovation. For sure, European Accessibility Act taking effect in June of this year will be a catalyst for digital transformation. So to prepare, organizations should assess their current state, develop a strategic roadmap, and begin build the necessary expertise and processes right now, rather than waiting as the deadline approaches. So let's lead the change, not chase it. And the innovations we've discussed today are transforming accessibility testing from a specialized, often overlooked activity to an integrated part of digital development. So the ultimate goal is for accessibility to become standard practice rather than afterthought. And these innovations are helping us reach that goal faster than ever before. So let's make the future inclusive for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Oh, yes.
Yes. So we do love automation, and we like to write automation for whatever software we developed. My question is, do you recommend some tool that can support us to write automation for accessibility?
The thing is that usually we do use automated tools which are mostly extensions or plugins for browsers. So this part can be definitely automated. I believe many automation platforms, even like Robot Framework, they have integrations with quite common tools. They have specific libraries, for example, like for Wave tool, for X, and for Lighthouse, as far as I know. But the thing is that with accessibility, definitely the major part should be done by humans. Because to understand that the logic of user journey or the logic of things that we can hear through screen reader, only human beings can judge. So yeah, that part that we can do testing using automated tools, it could be automated, definitely. And of course, it can be integrated into CI/CD as well.
Right, good.
So yeah, thanks for the presentation. So in terms of like the culture of doing testing, the accessibility, it should start early, right? As we have some kind of feature. But how do you implement this in terms of, like, let's say, epic stories? Do you have acceptance criteria that you should follow when you implement? Because we want to tackle accessibility as early as possible, right?
Yeah.
So we struggle with this in our organization to have a process where we do from left to right all the time. Because most of the companies, I would say, do it at the end when they develop the product and then do the testing of accessibility or get a report from external audits. So we face this issue and try to address it.
So what your question is then?
Yeah, how do you incorporate accessibility implementation in the process? Do you have any special acceptance criteria in the stories, tickets? Who decides this? Business analysts, product owners? How do you deal with this process?
Yeah, of course, there are two situations. When the product is in the very beginning, it is like the perfect situation. You can incorporate accessibility checks from the very beginning. That's great. Of course, if you are talking about legacy products, this might be the problem. Shift left approach. Start to think on the design stage of new features about accessibility, definitely. First, do an audit, even at bare minimum, just color, contrast, structure of HTML should be correct, and then, of course, alt text and so on and so forth. Even this part will do a huge difference for end users. And of course, accessibility criteria should be as a part of user stories, especially when we are talking about front-end stories, right? So yeah, here it's important to make sure that teammates have proper knowledge regarding accessibility. But yes, you are right. This is not only testers should care about accessibility. This is a task for designers, for business analysts, of course, to understand, for example, the law for specific country and which we need to follow. Yeah, and of course, developers and testers as well. Yeah.
Question from my side. So, of course, accessibility has been a topic for many, many, many years, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we've been doing voice-over testing and stuff like that, and font sizing for a lot of time. Now it's a more pressing issue because it's becoming law, and you have to be and you have to be compliant with it. At the same time, do you think that this is the birth of a new kind of tester that is accessibility tester? Do you see this as a different role, or should this be actually a different role? Because in the current setup, I mean, just because of this legal framework, now you would have a lot of work added on top of the existing work that you had, and you also don't necessarily have all the information about all the lines that you need to comply with. For example, what was it? The contrast ratio should be 4:1 or whatever it was. Do you think this is a separate role, and companies should actually see it as a separate role, not just push it down on all their testers like, yeah, you guys need to take care of accessibility now?
From my point of view, thank you for your question. From my point of view, it should not be like a separate role. So I would say that nowadays we all should learn, and definitely to get knowledge about accessibility, this is not rocket science at all. So, for example, if you're a functional tester and you decided to be automation testers, yeah, you need to learn a lot of stuff. With accessibility, it's a bit easier. And I would say, from my point of view, there is no need to have a separate, dedicated accessibility tester. However, another thing that is maybe worth to mention is that it's really useful to involve end users. So people with really with disabilities, because we are trying to simulate. So, for example, when you are doing your test with screen reader, you are trying to simulate how a blind user behave with your, for example, application. But anyway, you either should close your eyes or you will see how this navigation will go. So elements will be highlighted when you are doing this. So anyway, to perform and interact with the application as real end users, it will be hard. So I would say that it's better not to have dedicated testers, but involve real users with disabilities. So that will bring a lot of value.
Hello. Thank you so much for bringing this theme up. So I wanted to ask, I suppose you're in the topic for a long time, how it started for you, and if you are working with a client that doesn't have anything of this implemented, what would you suggest for the starting point? Would it be SEO first, design first, or who would be the person that decides what would be the steps to be more inclusive?
Yeah, thank you very much for your question. So I had really a great opportunity to work several years ago for one Nordic government project, and where I started to practice accessibility testing. I cannot tell that it was kind of like really a huge experience. Yeah, we did mostly screen reader testing, we did contrast testing, we also did accessibility for some documents that should be downloaded by end users. So that's how my journey has started. Then after maternity leave, when I was back to my company, I decided to start accessibility testing initiative in my company. So because of European accessibility law approaching us, yes, we decided that it was to share more knowledge among our colleagues as well. If your question was also about the project, how to start to incorporate accessibility testing. So this is my case in my current project. It's not a European Union project at all. And yeah, what I was trying to think, quality is something I should care always in my project, in my team. So my idea is, as soon as my project starts, which is on very kickoff stage, I would perform by myself just really quick audit using different tools. I will try to review mock-ups, wireframes, everything that will be available. And if there will be any contrast issues or whatever, something obvious, I will just bring this conversation to my management, and I would, of course, rely on that knowledge that I have now while preparing this presentation. And I will start this conversation, and I will try to pay the attention to this thing. And of course, you need to understand your end user. So maybe this is kind of like a really internal product, and yeah, there is a rare chance that this can be the case, and that accessibility should be very important. But mostly, I believe it's worth to pay attention to this, and just we can drive for the best. Just start, do the small steps. It's not something like overwhelming and time-consuming, but it might help a big amount of people to make their life easier and provide them actually to equal access to information. So yeah, that was my idea and my thought.
All right, let's have one last question.
Hello. According to your statistics, there's like 6% of websites that are accessibility compliant. Can you name a few so maybe others can look up to them and also follow their example?
Sorry, can you please repeat your question? I cannot hear you well, unfortunately.
There's like 6% that are accessibility compliant on websites. Can you name a few? So,
oh, that would be, of course, not the best choice. I can just give you some tip. One national Baltic airline company, we were trying to do some screen reader testing just to find examples for our colleagues, and we were just a bit in shock that it's totally impossible to use for users via screen readers the services of that company. So this is really pity. So people with disabilities, it's almost impossible for them to buy tickets by themselves. So of course this should not be the case, and let's hope that at least the European Accessibility Act will, let's say, motivate private sector companies to start to think about such important things as digital accessibility. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much.